Who the hell are you?
You know. You all know exactly who I am. Say my name. That's right. Now, say my name.
Pipala.
You're goddamn right.
All right. Welcome back to GoRacing Sim League, OPC official podcast, episode 18. Ken, can you believe we're on episode 18?
Yeah, we're moving right along here, aren't we? And we're 1 week away from mid-season.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing as well. So before we get going, let's kick it off real quick with our advertisement. So first of all, if you're interested in racing with us, check us out at GoRacingSim.com. That's www.GoRacingSim.com. Also, check out Blackner Designs on his Facebook page. If you're interested in a good paint scheme, check Blackner out. He does all different kinds of cars. And finally, coffeeandglittermom.com. They're the ones that sponsor our Safe Driver Reward. It's a great place to go. Get your significant other or just a friend. Nice little gift. And with that, Ken, I think it's time we get started. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get going. We got quite a bit again to talk about this week, but not as much as the last 2 weeks. You guys are behaving this last week.
Yeah, they sure were. And, we were mentioning if you're interested in joining us, and you mentioned we're about mid-season, and that's actually a good point. We should probably bring that up real fast. Remember, we set a rule this season, a new rule that we wouldn't allow new members to join and race after the midpoint of the season. People can join the league and run practices with us, but you're not allowed to actually race with us. And this week is the 6th race of the season. So this is the last race for somebody new to join us and race with us. So if you still got a friend out there who's been thinking about it and still might want to join and race with us, this is the last chance. If not, they're going to have to wait until the next season starts. So, probably another 8-9 weeks or whatever it is, because we do have a couple of weeks we're going to take off in between.
Yeah, so, approximately 2 months before we get back at season number 2.
Yep, exactly. So we're still letting people in. So if anybody's interested in racing with us, come on in. Matter of fact, we had somebody join. They signed up, but they didn't actually attend last week. So I won't say their name yet because they may not show up, and I don't want to give them a shout out if they never actually show up. But anyways, so that's all I'll say about that. One thing before we get into the recap and everything this week, Ken, is I just want to put it out there that, the media team here for Go Racing Sim League tries to get creative and puts out several things. We started doing this season. This season was the live stream. It's kind of interesting to see the number of people that watch that. I'm not sure how many are actually our league members that are watching it versus just people finding it, because I've set it up to where it just follows what's considered the most exciting, and it just bounces around and follows what's going on. But let me know if you do watch that, because it does cost money for me to put that out there, mainly because I have to have a second account, and every track that we go to, I have to buy that track for that second account. This week, I had to buy it twice, once for my real account and once for the second one. Also, we do the replay video, which, again, if you've got any response feedbacks, let me know. Those get quite a few watches on YouTube. And then finally, Ken, this wonderful podcast here that we do.
Oh, yeah, this masterpiece that we do every Saturday night.
Hey, I have seen some other leagues that we've dealt with in the past have started putting out their own podcast, just so you know. So we're a
trendsetter. We're a trendsetter.
Well, I won't take full credit. We kind of got the idea of the last league we ran in. They didn't have a weekly podcast, but every once in a while they'd put something out there. So that's where we got this idea. I'm not going to take full credit, but trendsetters. Who ever thought you and I'd be trendsetters?
We love doing it weekly too, because we feel you guys have earned the right of getting mentions on a weekly basis and all that. And I enjoy spending time with Kevin anyway, so it makes no difference to me. I enjoy doing them.
Yeah, my wife's like, don't you have a podcast or something to do?
She's trying to get rid of you again?
I used to travel a lot, and she would always be like, don't you have somewhere you're supposed to be traveling this week?
Yeah.
But now I don't travel, so that's what I get. But anyways.
If these people got to know you the way she does, I imagine they'd be thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. But on this podcast, we want to try to keep it fresh and interesting. So, if you've got some extra ideas, things you'd like for us to do, I think let us know, please. We want to keep this interesting. I would like to mix it up as we move on. Right now, we've got a pretty stable format, but I think over the time we probably should switch things up. I would really like to get some like driver segments at some point, Ken, where I know we do the driver interviews, but a segment where we have people join us on the podcast. Let's just be honest. Most of the people in the media center and the driver interviews after the race, it tends to be the same group of people. So it would be a good opportunity for some other people to get on, just talk a little bit about who they are, what they do, their experience with the iRacing, things like that. So if anybody's interested, let us know.
Maybe I could interview you once.
Well, there's not much to say, but sure.
Almost this week. Almost got you in the end of the race.
I thought about it. I was in third. I was in third for literally about 2 car lengths. I was in third, and then I lost it. But yeah, no, that crossed my mind. I was like, what's Ken going to ask me? Okay, Ken, anything else before we move into the race recap?
No, let's go to the race recap.
Okay. Well, this week we ran at Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle. New track for, it sounded like most people. I think there was a few people that did have the track already. This was recommended to us by Michael Blackner last season. And I said something in the chat, and I'm going to repeat it. I'm actually very happy that he recommended that track. I went in thinking this was going to be horrible. And I loved it.
After Tuesday's practice, I had my doubts, even though I got to practice kind of late. But it is a fun track to drive once you have it figured out.
Yeah,
it's a pretty fun track.
Yeah, there's it's 40. We had 40 laps of very intense racing, and you had to be on your game every lap because the turns were quick. They come up on you very fast, especially as you and I were talking about earlier, Ken. Turn 12, that wall. Turn 12, for those who may not know what the turn is, it's not long after you come out of the horseshoe after that first straightaway, and it's that slight right, but it's more. There's more to that right than people think, and we had to push that wall a foot or two, didn't we, Ken?
Oh, at least 2 feet, man. There was a lot of cars that not just tapped it, but hit it pretty good.
I thought about putting a little video together just how many times it got hit, but I had better things to do. But yeah, so
that would have taken a while.
Yeah, it would have. But I love the track, and I said this to you, Ken, and this is true. I'm not lying. This was the first week in both seasons where I actually felt like I belonged in my own league. I was competitive. I told my wife before the race that if I got a top 5, that's like a win for me. But I told her I felt like I could get a 10th, and I got a top 5. So I was very, very happy. I was very proud. I qualified good. I never qualified good. I qualified good. It was a great week for me. So I'm very.
Shoot, you're even heading the speed chart early in practice, and a lot of guys were out there already, and you just nailed one hell of a good lap.
Yeah, that was before like Austin and Blackner and everybody showed up for practice, though. But yeah,
you weren't supposed to say that.
Yeah, well, I'm an honest man. So yeah, it was a great track again. Michael, thanks for recommending it. I really enjoyed it. We will definitely be racing that track again at some time in the future. I think it was definitely worth putting back on the schedule. Maybe not next season, but down the road. We've all bought it now, so we should race it again, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, before we start talking about it, Ken, how about we take a minute and drop down to the media center and listen to your interviews?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Here's Ken.
Hey, welcome on down to the media center here at Belle Isle in Detroit. Our podium tonight is third place Shane Pippola. Pronounced it wrong. Papala. Sorry about that, Shane. I get it wrong almost all the time. Second place, Logan Mitchell. And our winner tonight, Austin Ward. Austin, awesome run tonight. We'll start with you tonight. How many wins is that for you this season so far?
I think it's 3 total.
Complete domination tonight.
Yeah.
Led 39 laps out of the 40, so you did an awesome job. Also, fast time tonight, I see. So how did your night go?
Yeah, it went pretty good. I was able to get away from the guys pretty quick, which was helpful. Yeah, overall pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my performance. Just not the best racer when I'm out by myself and not really racing anybody. I'm not really that consistent, but tonight it was definitely a little different. I ran some pretty good laps. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Logan, first time on the podium with GoRacing Sim. Explain your evening tonight.
Thanks, Ken. Man, I had no intention on being on the podium. I qualified in fifth, and I was going to settle for fifth if I could hold it the entire race. Something happened out of the pits. Then I had P4. Then I heard Bryant got DQ'd, which put me on podium and honestly distracted me quite a bit. So I just had to refocus there. And I'm not sure what happened, but a couple of laps, I was just in the zone. Next thing you know, my crew chief told me I was P2, and I just said, all right, I got to hold this to the end. I didn't think when I made that lap guide, how I said you wouldn't be as fast as Austin, but it put me right behind him.
Awesome. And Shane, first time on the podium this year for you. Shane, explain your evening tonight.
It's a miracle I finished third after spinning out twice and made two bonehead mistakes after we made those pit stops. But it was a pretty good race. It was fun. I had a good time. Definitely a challenging track, but actually a lot of fun. I'm really glad we picked this one this season.
Yeah, it's a fun track that it was. It was a little bit of a challenge here. Austin, how many laps do you think you've run on this racetrack, seeing you're so quick and all that?
Not too many. Like Road America, did we run that last week? Whenever we ran it, I have hundreds of laps on that track. Like probably over 1,000. This track, not too many. I don't know how many laps total, but I put in probably, including the practice race, the practice before that race, probably 5 hours. So whatever that
So
is.
you got your time in then, at least on this track for this race.
Yeah, this is the first time running it. I just bought it for this league, which I'm glad we had this track because it's a good one for sure. Kind of hard to pass on, but fun to race yourself on.
Logan,
yeah,
are you new to this track, or Logan, have you been around on this track before?
Absolutely not. Same as Austin. I bought this track for the league. I've only done my practice and then the practice race and this race, so maybe I would say just shy of 100 laps on this track.
And Shane, I know you bought this track last week and got some practice time in, correct?
Yep, same as everybody else. It's one I've seen before, and it looked pretty interesting, but never had a need to buy it till now. So I'm really glad I did. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun in other cars too.
Austin, how did your teammates do tonight?
Daryl did really good. He got 10th. I'm not sure where he started. 15th it looks like. And then I think we talked about Bryant getting the DQ because of some damage. And then Brooks, I'm not sure exactly what happened to him, but he went out early, so I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I seen him crashed early, lap 2, I believe it was, and hit the wall pretty hard with the front end of the car.
Yeah.
And Logan, were you by yourself, or was your teammate with you tonight?
Unfortunately, Michael got called away at work, so it was just me tonight.
And Shane, I am a teammate of yours, and how did our other guy do?
Oh, Kevin and I had a hell of a battle at the end there. I believe he finished fourth. I was third. So all in all, a pretty good night.
That sounds good. Well, we're going to cut her short. No silly questions tonight. Sorry about that, guys. We'll have to wait for another week to do that. Our podium tonight, Shane Pippola. Second place, Logan Mitchell. And our winner tonight at Belle Isle in Detroit, Austin Ward. Thanks, guys. Congratulations. Good job. And back to you, Kevin.
Okay, Ken, I've got to admit, I'm so glad I had my mic muted during your interview because I was laughing so hard I was crying.
I don't know why, but I always stumble on Shane's name, and I've known him for a couple of years now and been teammates with him. And every time I say it wrong, and I can't believe myself that I think about it, and that's why I make a mistake, because I start thinking about it too much.
Well, what's even funnier is kind of behind the scenes, somewhere that night during the race or before the race, we were talking to Shane, and we actually brought this topic up, talking about his last name and how you say it. Remember, we were talking about that. And how now it's ingrained wrongly in our brains. We have to think of it. But the first time you said it, I laughed. But the second time, what made me laugh so hard was you went to introduce him,
Yep.
you paused because you were thinking, what's the right saying? And then you
Yeah, and then I caught myself after I said it. I caught myself that I said it wrong again. So,
And then what people didn't hear is as soon as I turned the interview off, you went, shit, I said it wrong again. Oh, I was crying. Here I am now again. I can't help it. Shane's like,
I'm sorry, Shane. I love you, bud, but man, change your name or something that I can pronounce.
you can pronounce it, you just don't know which one's
I don't
right.
know what pronunciation to use. I put the emphasis on the wrong P. So-
Okay, so let's dive into the race results, shall we?
all right, let's do it.
Okay, so Austin, as we know, Austin won again, dominated 39 laps of the 40 he led. Shane's the only person to lead another lap. Logan had a heck of a drive. He finished second. I was behind Logan pretty much the whole race. I could see his car the whole time. I never got to him, but I could see him the whole time. But really good race for Logan, right, Ken?
Oh, definitely. Glad to see somebody new getting the podium and all that, and had an awesome run. And I think he's got many more coming yet his way.
Yep, and then Shane snuck up, took the position from me and got third, put me back and fourth. But I'll take fourth. As I said, I was super happy. Felix, I was thinking about it after I did the video. I probably should have went back and looked more for Felix because, he gained a lot of positions throughout the race. He just slowly, methodically gained positions, and he got from 13th all the way up to 5th. So
That
good
guy
run for
can
Felix.
drive. He's a good driver. He earlier when he started with us was maybe a little too aggressive and all that. He's calmed it down and his car control is a lot better. And he's had some pretty good finishes of late. And I think he's becoming a very, very good road racer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he probably already was one. He's just improving. And then not in top 5, but Steve or Lane Allen, good, probably the best run for him. He's just joined us a couple races back, but he pulled in 6th place. So him and Eric, who also is kind of new to the league, he got 7th.
Yeah, some of these guys are good road racers, even though they kind of came up in the oval rankings.
Right. And then rounding out the top 10, you had Tyler, who I think is a teammate also of Logan. So kind of good run there between those two. And Brandon Rutt, another good run by Brandon, finished 9th. And then Daryl Flanagan, 10th. So
yeah,
good
runs.
Yeah, real good runs. The couple of the cool things that you really can notice when you look at this is we had a lot of people, as crazy as that track was, we had 9 people without any incidents.
Yeah, you could tap the wall and get away without getting an X, but you went over the limit and hit her a little too snug. The old meatball would show up.
Yeah, watching the replay, doing the video, as well as knowing what happened to me, I know I scraped the wall a couple times, and I finished with 0. But, I mean, there's people watching the replay that I guarantee you hits maybe too strong of a word, but touched the wall a good 5-6 times, and they still come away with 0. I don't know what it is on this track, but iRacing really seems like they toned that down a little bit. I kind of wish they would do that on all the tracks. Whatever they've done, I like it better. You're going to scrape the wall every once in a while. It happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
they're all pushing hard.
But there was a fine line on this track between 0x and a meatball.
Yep.
Because we saw the other side of it with a few people, including yourself at one time.
Exactly.
All right, so the Blackner Design Pole Award, that goes again this week to Austin Ward. Congratulations, Austin, for your, I don't know what number this is, but this is multiple pole awards. So Blackner will be giving you $2 in iRacing credit. Before long, you'll be able to buy you a new track with that. Much
there
as
you
he's
go.
Getting. And then was it 10 at the end of the season? So, hey, maybe you can get 2 tracks.
That's right.
In terms of the hard charger, this week we had Michael Fredrickson. He gained, I think it was like 9-10 positions. I think he started in the back, didn't he, Ken?
He started 21st and finished 11th, so he gained 10.
And I believe he didn't qualify. I'm not sure if that was by choice or what, but I didn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I don't believe he qualified. He started behind me. And, he came up 10. He kept her somewhat clean. I know he had a couple incidents out there, but nothing that slowed him down too much.
One thing to think about a lot of times, because this bit me, we have it on strict qualifying, which means if you touch the wall or anything, it basically discounts that lap. So there's also a chance, again, we don't know if he did or didn't, but he may have just scraped the wall every time he tried to turn a good lap and just never got anything in.
Yep.
That's happened to me.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's look now at the season standings. Well, anything else you want to talk about there before we move on from points, Ken?
Oh no, I think that was a pretty good recap of the race there.
Okay. Now, in terms of the season standing, Austin remains first. Actually, the top four stay exactly where they are. Austin's first, Mike's second, Bryant's third, and Christian is fourth. The amazing thing is Christian's fourth, and he didn't race.
Right.
He's missed 2 races, and we haven't dropped anything yet. There's been nothing dropped.
It tells you how strong some of these guys really are. You know, hand it to those guys that miss 2 races and still be third in point or fourth in points. It's pretty good.
I didn't realize he was still that high up with 2 races missed. And then Daryl Flanagan is rounding out the top 5. I gained 4 positions up to 6 this week, which is kind of amazing because I had a really crappy race last week. So, but I'm in 4th. Richie Coy fell 2 positions. He had a rough race this week. Actually, I think the last 2 weeks he's had a couple of rough races.
Yep. He'll snap out of it, and he'll be tough to contend with here pretty soon.
Yeah, he's one of those guys I think, could be up there fighting the Austins, the Mikes, and the Bryants, and the Christians. And then Fredrickson's also fast. He gained a position up to 8. Brooks dropped back 2 to 9, and Blackner, with the second week of really bad luck, has fell back to 10. He is also definitely somebody that's I expected to be up there fighting Austin and them for the lead. He dominated last season.
Yep.
And this was his track. He picked it.
He's the one who picked it, yep. And he's one of the ones that left earliest.
From watching all the replays from all season, it appears that Porsche is awful twitchy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas last season, it seemed to be the car to have. This season doesn't seem to be the car to have.
Right. I think either other ones have gotten better or they took something away from the Porsches or something.
Yeah, agreed. See, any other big movers? Yeah, Bill Fedorka and Derek Wynn both fell 8 positions. They haven't raced with us the last couple of races. I think Derek joined us for practice, but lately,
right. I haven't seen Bill. I didn't see Bill at all last week, so.
Yeah, no. Bill's missed 2 races, and Derek and Bill both have missed 2 races. So
yeah. But hey, hand it to Logan Mitchell for gaining 7, though.
Yeah, that's a heck of a jump. Yeah, and he's only raced 4 races, so so good job. Okay, let's move on then, and let's quickly discuss the Coffee and Glitter Mom Clean Driver Award. Before I talk about that, I do want to point out that I was looking at their site, trying to think, what are some things I might be interested in purchasing for my wife or for somebody, and there's one item that jumped out that I really, really found funny, and I may just have to order it. And it's the Kindly Fuck Off tumbler. It's a tumbler. It says Kindly Fuck Off. Not kid friendly today, folks. Sorry.
No, I guess not. Sorry about that.
Well, I checked not kid friendly on the Facebook. On the YouTube, anyways. But yeah.
Good.
So, anyways, they've a bunch of cool things there. Check them out. Good things to order. But again, it's the $40. We have the $40 at the end of the season. Safe Driver Award. Right now, Chris Payne is in the lead with .009, which is still very small. He hasn't raced a couple of races with us lately, so we'll have to see, because I think you have to race more than half of the races for it to count. Then you got Mike Wright, who is at .012, and Christian at .032. And again, the thing I find interesting here is some of the people up there are some of the people also at the top of the standings.
It's not like they're taking it easy, just driving around.
Nope. And Eric, who's joined us for the last for 3 races so far, he's moved up 3 positions. He's right there in 4th. So it's pretty tight, actually. If you look, we have, I don't know, it looks like about 9-10 people that are less than .1.
That's good.
So yeah, that's very good. Very good.
That's some good racing out there by those people, including you, Kevin, because you're on that list also.
Yeah, I've had a couple. I had one really bad one, but it happens. We'll see. So yeah, again, we'll tally that up every race, and at the end of the season, the winner gets a $40 iRacing credits. And then Ken, we have the Ken's Lap Race Award.
Well, we only have one person with 213 laps, and that's Austin Ward. But we have a couple guys that are just a few laps behind him. But keep the laps coming, guys. season's almost halfway over, this thing can change all around with one bad run by Austin.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes one slip up and, meatball, boom. Who knows how many
Yep.
laps you're going to lose, right?
That's right.
So you never can tell. Never give up. Never give up. And what do they get for this, Ken, if they win it at the end of the season?
That's a $50 Amazon card.
You can
So
buy
it's
whatever
a
you
nice
want with
gift.
that, folks.
You buy whatever you want, except for racetracks, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt there's some way to convert it into iRacing dollars. You can convert everything.
Probably
nowadays.
is, but you can buy something for your rig or upgrade some of your equipment.
Yep. Let's look at the one thing I keep skipping and keep missing is the team's point standing. So this week, here's the team point standings. Leading the way right now, no surprise, Midwest Motorsports. They have 2,450. Second place looks like it is Inglorious Bastards at 1860, which is interesting because Chris has had a really rough season so far, but Christian has won multiple races, so that's really helped them. And Ken, we're just right there. We're 20 points back at 1840. So we're in
third?
We're in third at 1840.
Wow, that's good.
So it's
I didn't
close.
help us out. I did not help us out this week. I struggled with my finish and all that. But hey, you and Shane had a great run. It's a shame that your points didn't count. When mine did.
Yeah. We'll definitely look into this next season, see how this played out, see if it's better to average everybody's together, like somebody recommended last week in our poll. I'm not against doing that at all, especially after I finished fourth and then hell, that didn't even help my points, my team points. I was like, maybe that's not a good way to do it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not changing anything this season, but definitely in play for next season. But I'm enjoying this, the teams thing. It's new this season. But and I am having to manually calculate it, so if anybody wants to double check my work, feel free to do so. But it is definitely a cool extra thing we're doing, and I'm enjoying it. All right, Ken, anything before we move down to actually diving into the race?
Let's take a look at how things shook out here with the good and the bad, and just highlights of our race here.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think we're going to go away from talking about the good and the bad, and we're just going to do the race talk about the race, right? So, this is going to be Race Talk Detroit, and we'll just discuss the race. Quick saying this is the good, this is the bad. Let's just talk about it. So, I hate telling people you were on the bad. You win nothing for being the worst this week.
Well,
I saw
Chris
you through
asked,
the nothing out there.
Yeah, Chris asked what he would win for the way he's been racing of late, and I said absolutely nothing. So
I want
to go back to last year's famous saying that we were always using.
Yeah, people who didn't race with us last year probably don't know what we're talking about. Before we get into that, I actually want to do a shout out. I like to do these every once in a while. One of the things I like to do is I like to look at the paint schemes that people are doing. There's some, I will have to say, coming from the oval side, I'm seeing way cooler paint schemes in the GT3 series, like some very, very creative paint schemes. I don't know who creates them themselves versus where they just download them. But I was noticing that Eric Essery, he's had some pretty cool paint schemes his last couple of races. Last week, I noticed when I was doing the recording, he created his own, I think he created it, Darkwing Duck. Now, if you're somebody my age, you might remember that cartoon. It was a Disney cartoon. And then this week, it was a shout out to two things. It was a shout out to Seinfeld and to Merv Griffin. If you know the episode on Seinfeld, you know what I'm talking about. But he had the Merv Griffin show on his car. The last freaking thing I ever thought I would ever see on a race car.
That's being creative. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I know Shane did some Seinfeld stuff before, but so I just wanted to give a shout out. I thought it was cool. That doesn't mean if I didn't give you a shout out that your car is not pretty, but I was sitting there and I saw Merv Griffin. Who would have thought of that?
Yeah, that's right. That's good. That's cool.
Okay, so talking about the race talk. So, we had a really good first lap, Ken. On a track like that, as crazy as that track is, as tight as that track is, I don't think we really had any major incidents on the first lap, did we?
Everyone was very, very patient the first lap, and we all kind of waited for things to get stretched out a little bit, and then it was go at it on lap 2.
Yeah, and you made it one turn on lap 2. No, you didn't even really make it one turn, did you, kid?
Not really. I was out of control right after starting finish line.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you lost it in turn 1, and then you hit the wall, and it gave you a black flag or a meatball.
Yeah, I had meatball. Yeah, I had a 6-minute meatball. That was dumb on my part. I was doing it in practice. I had to remind myself not to do it, and sure shit, did it again. So
yeah, it seemed like on old tires that was the corner. I mean, I'm sorry, on new fresh tires, that was the corner where you had to be careful because I just found take that turn slow. It's actually better to go in slow and out fast.
It bit a lot of people. It's where the most damages were done by most of the cars.
It
Probably
wasn't
in that
where most
corner
of the
there.
wrecks were, but it was where most of the damaging wrecks were
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the speed that you had.
Correct.
But and then on that same lap, Ken, you were kind of involved in the next one. Kind of, we had a 4-car sort of pile up. And turn 12, infamous turn 12. That's the turn we were talking about earlier. Brooks had a really bad angle going in. He hit it straight on, it almost looked like. And Michael Fredrickson coming around, he got into him just a little bit. But I think you, Bliss, and Fredrickson all kind of had to come to a stop almost, right? Because it literally blocked the track.
Yep, it blocked the track. And I'm glad I had enough time to react and get the brake pedal down. And I know Brian just barely made it also where he didn't make contact. And
I think
good driving around there because that's a blind corner right there. And then, boom, there was 2 cars sitting there.
Yeah, I think Fredrickson got a little damage. He's the only one that got damage.
Yep,
Not
it was
counting
slight
Brooks.
contact.
Brooks had a lot of damage.
Yeah, he had a lot of damage. Yep.
Yeah, but that was, and we were lucky actually though on that track. This was my biggest concern was a wreck that's going to block the track. The fact you had already wrecked earlier, so you were at the very back of the pack. The fact that this happened at the back of the field, if that had happened early up in the field, further up, that could have been a really ugly situation.
That could have easily taken 15 cars out.
Yeah, because there was nowhere to go. You come around that turn, there was nowhere to go. So, all right, and then I'm not going to. There was a lot of like little self spins, people hitting the walls a little bit. But lap 6, Doug Doucette found the same problem you did, Ken.
Yep, same corner. Looks like he did almost the same exact thing I did. So,
but again, kind of going back to the last situation, and I love to see this. People they had their heads on the swivel, and there was some really, really good driving to avoid Doug in that wreck.
Lane Allen and Eric, man, they did a great job of not getting into Doug there because that could have been a real bad situation. We could have had 3 cars junked right there.
Yeah, because Doug came to a stop right in the center of the track, in the middle of the turn. Probably one of the fastest turns.
Definitely, and kind of in a blind spot there. You really don't see him until you're right through the apex of the corner there, and one guy went to one side of him, and when the other guy went to the other side of him, and both was lucky enough to miss him.
Yep, Doug went right, Lane went left. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how. I'm sorry, not Doug. Eric went right.
Yeah,
I am not sure. I don't know how Eric didn't hit the wall when he did that. I mean, he really did a heck of a job slowing down and not hitting that wall. I definitely would have hit the wall there. So good job there, Eric and Lane, for avoiding that.
Exactly.
And then afterwards, if you watched on down the replay, just again seeing this new car model as Doug was trying to drive down that straightaway, that car just was weebling, wobbling, and then it just spun out.
That left rear wheel was facing in the wrong direction, and he couldn't even hardly drive that thing. I think he ended up having to stop and tow it back to the pits because it was so much damage to it from hitting the wall.
Yeah. The cars definitely behave way differently now when they get damaged. It's kind of odd. Sometimes you'll get a meatball and the car drives just fine, and then sometimes you don't get a meatball but you can't even drive it. So it's interesting. Lap 8, I call this the Porsche lap, Ken. Why do I call it the Porsche lap?
Man, for some reason we had a couple Porsches kind of lose it at the same time in the same place.
We sure did. As a matter of fact, we could call it the shock and awe lap because it was very interesting. At the exact same time, different turns. One was in turn 1, one was coming out turn 2. But literally at the exact same time, Michael Blackner and Richie Coy both lost it. At the exact those twitchy Porsches. And it seemed like, I don't know, it's like somebody pushed a button and said, all right, Porsche's wreck. And boom, there they went. Blackner got the worst of it, though.
Definitely. Richie had to spend some time in the pits. He lost 2 or 3 laps out of it and was able to continue, but Blackner was pretty much done for the race. Yeah,
I was keeping an eye on Richie. Richie was actually behind me at that point, and I was watching the timings, trying to see, is he gaining on me? Because being Richie, I assumed he was gaining on me. And I was watching, and all of a sudden I started seeing it going negative. And I'm like, I remember I keyed up the radio on our channel, and I said, something's happened to Richie because he's falling back. But he didn't get the damage that Blackner got. But this is 2 weeks in a row where Michael maybe raced 5-6 laps total. No, 8 laps because he didn't even do a full lap last week. So
Right. Yeah, he's been struggling, and don't worry, he's going to snap out of it, and he'll be a contender before too long here.
yeah, and for the people that are new in the league this season, just trust us when we say he's good and he's fast. He's just not had it this season for some reason.
That's right.
You will
Chris
see
is
him
the same
before it's
way.
over. You will see him before it's over.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
And then laps 22 and 24, I'm saying both because they both impact our teammate Shane. How do you say Shane's name, Ken?
That'd be Apala.
There we go. Shane Papala. He first spun exiting the pits, but luckily he didn't hit anything. Got it righted. He was going. I think he was still maybe at that point like in third or fourth position. And then, like you and several others, he lost it in turn 1, but he was lucky.
He just barely scraped the wall. Had a little left rear damage, but not enough to give him a meatball, and he was still very, very fast.
Yeah, and that put me actually in front of him at that point, which was good and bad because he was faster than me. As a matter of fact, we were kind of joking today, or maybe it was this morning, when we were texting back and forth. He's talking about how fast I was, and how I almost got third, and I was like, "Dude, shut up! I didn't almost get third. You got third, and you spun twice, and I never spun." So he was way faster than me. But anyhow, he put a lot of pressure on me. At least he didn't blink his lights at me because he knows I don't like that. But then lap 25, okay. First of all, I'm going to apologize for laughing at my friends here and fellow racers. But when I went back and watched the replay, I also was laughing pretty hard on this one. Not because of the wreck, but because of just the weird situation. So first, Chris, in the horseshoe, he gets off on the left a little bit, misses judges or something. Maybe he got a little loose. I'm not sure. But then kind of got on the grass, straightened it out, hit the wall, and he found himself sort of in the middle of the track on the horseshoe, sitting. I think it was right there about turn 10. He was just sitting there. So being a good racer, he immediately hit reverse and tried to back out of the track. And he did. He got up kind of on the grass there. But while all that was happening... Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it was just funny. But while all that was happening, Brandon Rutt was coming through the same area, and his back end kicked out and got loose on him. So because Chris backed up and got off the track, he actually ended up being exactly where Brandon's loose car was going. And if he had just stayed on the road, he'd have been fine. But it's like he wrecked, backed up, and then just boom. And it was, it wasn't his fault, but I was watching it. I was like, man, you talk about bad luck. That is Chris's luck this season.
Yep, it definitely is. He's had struggle after struggle, and he's been taking it in good strides. We've been joking about it and all that, and most drivers would be a little frustrated by now, but he's taking it really, really well. So.
Yep. But again, for those new to the league this year, he's also one of these guys that normally you would see up there in the top 5. He's just had really bad luck.
He's a snake bit right now.
Yeah, and a lot of it's self-inflicted, but still bad luck. Okay, a few more things, and this one's actually was really big in that Bryant Ward, who I think was running third, maybe second. I think it was second.
He was running second at the time, yeah.
Yeah, he found that turn 12, that tricky turn 12, and he's one of the people that hit it just hard enough to where it gave him a meatball. And I think apparently he decided to try to ride it out, and then he disqualified him. So instead of finishing 12th, I've put the standings up. I can't remember where he finished now, but he lost a lot of positions because of that. I benefited. I gained.
He finished 18th. He finished after I did. I passed him on the last lap.
Oh, so you got by him on the last lap just because the laps. Okay.
Yep.
And how many laps were you down when you got a lot of repairs done, right? You lost like
I was 7 laps down.
Oh, okay, yeah. And it was near the end when this happened. It wasn't like this happened early. It was near the end. Like I said, it was lap 27. So,
right.
And then one thing for about the last 10 laps, I hate to talk about it because I'm not bragging on myself, but there was some really good, hard racing between myself, Shane, and Eric. We were battling basically for third. And really hard. Shane was all over me. He was faster than me, but he couldn't get by me because he would catch me in the turns. And it's just really hard track to do, to pass in the turns. And Eric was always right in front of me, but I did find out later that Eric actually, his steering wheel started messing up on him. And I noticed in turn 12, he was getting like really sideways a lot. He wasn't hitting the wall, but all of a sudden he wasn't driving the same. I could see it. And I could smell the blood in the water, and I was gaining on him. And then in turn 2, he got loose, and I had to check up a little not to hit him, but Shane luckily didn't have to check up. He had a great run. So that's the one part where I was in third for about a car length or two until Shane got by me. But we had a lot of really good, hard racing. I was having a blast. I haven't had this much fun in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to call that out and say, we had some fun there.
Yeah,
Anything else, Ken?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Frank Johnson. He had a hell of a race going until late in the race. He ran into an issue somewhere, and he was P2 for a while there, and felt bad for him because he had probably his best run with GoRacing Sim since he's been with us he joined us about halfway through last season. So
Frank's always been fast, I've noticed, but he just runs into situations, I've noticed. Now, this one was interesting, and I'm glad you called that out because he was all of a sudden I noticed I'd gained a position or two, and I wasn't really sure why, right? And it was because he had an issue. But I went back and I was watching the replay, and it was interesting. And I was trying to figure out what was going on there because I don't remember who the car was, but somebody sort of pulled over and slowed down. I think it was near the horseshoe, for him. And Frank got by him, but then he overdrove it and drove it right into the wall. And apparently it meatballed it because you can see he finally starts coming down straightaway. He's kind of weebling and wobbling, and that was all she said, all she wrote. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it was weird. It's like a little hit does nothing, a little bit more, meatball. It seems like we're not getting that middle ground sometimes.
Right. Yeah, it's good to see some damage on the car, but, if you have it coming, but, man, you just don't want to go spend 10 minutes in the pits on something that probably shouldn't be sometimes, so.
Yeah, that was probably a situation where just, because where he caught that car, it probably broke his rhythm up a little bit and just threw him off a little bit. That was very much a rhythm track. Very much.
Most definitely.
So, I mean, we've all done it. We've all been there and done it. But I will say, one thing I'm very happy when I'm watching the replay is a lot of people have done, we did a really good job of letting the lead lap cars by. Like the slower cars, this was a tough track to let people pass. I mean, if you caught somebody in the wrong spot, it was tough. And, I go back and watch, and everybody's doing a good job, right? And like, okay, I'm a lap down. Here comes a faster person. I'm going to pull over just a little bit, let them go. And that's really, it's appreciated.
Yeah, well, we preach racecraft in this league, and it's good to see people are doing that. So thanks to all those drivers out there who are paying attention to their relative screen and possibly the rearview mirror if they're using it.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets tough, though. As a matter of fact, I think I remember seeing this myself, where you might be a lap down, but you're racing that car that's right in front of you, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't want to slow down and let the other car by because slowing down is going to hurt you when you're trying to catch this guy in front of you. But and by the way, that's one of the situations where it's a little more acceptable, right? You still need to let the other guy by if he's faster, but try to do it smart. But anyways, yeah, everybody's doing a great job. I really appreciate it. Keep up. Any last words about this race, Ken?
No, I think it's time to talk about our place in Japan coming up this week, Thursday.
And that place would be what, Ken?
That'd be Yokohama.
Yeah, so we're going to Japan, across the seas. Hope everybody's got their translator with them. But I
don't have a passport, Kevin. I might not be able to make it.
No passport, huh?
No passport.
I've got an old one, but I don't think we look alike. So.
Oh. You're lucky.
It's funny. My old passport, I couldn't tell you how many stamps I have because I travel a lot for work. But I got a new one right literally before COVID, and I've only got one stamp on that sucker.
Well, times have changed. You'll get back out on the road here again pretty soon.
Yeah, sounds like I might be going to Germany here pretty soon, actually. Okay, anyways, this racetrack, again, in Japan, and we're doing the full course, so it's 2.31 miles. It looks like this track is, 11 corners? And there's a couple of... Go ahead.
Yeah, there's 11 corners here. 2 long straightaways. Not the fastest course in the world, but does have enough speed there.
The one thing that stuck out to me as I was looking at it, Ken, and we've raced on it. We did some practices on it in the past. Even this season, we did a practice race. But if you look at turns 6 through like 10, they look an awful lot like 7 through 12 or 13 of the last track we just raced. It almost looks like that little horseshoe in a way, and then followed by the little kink. I know they don't race the same, but when you look at the track map, that was the first thing that jumped out to me.
Definitely, there is some similarities there between those tracks, and except the walls aren't quite as close here at Yokohama.
Yeah, the other thing that stands out to me is this is a track in Japan, but all the turns look like they're named after
a lot of important drivers.
English-speaking
David Hobbs. David Hobbs is corner 9. Brian Redmond to corner 8. Sterling Moss at corner 3 down the S's down there. So a lot of familiar names that a lot of people will recognize if they're older, more seasoned drivers.
So turn 2 is Williams. Is that Williams the F1 team, you think?
I don't know. That's a great question. Probably is. Probably has something to do with that.
Yep. Just don't let their esports team in, right? They have a tendency to cheat. That's what
you see Mike Knight corner and you wonder is Knight Rider there or something. I'm not sure.
Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ken, any other wisdom about this track you want to share? I don't really have any. I think most people have probably been on it a time or two.
Yeah, it's a fun track. Quite a few places that you can set somebody up to pass. It's actually one of my more favorite tracks. It's a freebie, so we expect to see high 20s in the car count here this week.
Yep, that's a good point. It is a freebie. So, again, we throw these in here for that reason, right? So everybody doesn't have to buy new tracks all the time. I will tell you a little inside behind the scenes. I debated on making this a night race, Ken, because this is one of those tracks that doesn't have lights. And I thought it would be kind of cool for us to rely on the lights of the car. But I was like, maybe I won't do that.
I don't think this would be a good one for that. No.
Well, I've done it.
Maybe Bathurst.
Yeah, there we go.
Just kidding.
Hey, I love Bathurst. It's a fun track. Can't finish it, but I love it. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to say, Ken. It sounds like you don't have anything else to say, so say goodbye, Ken.
Goodbye, Ken. Pipala.
You're goddamn right.